And one, welcome to the Kitchen Talk Podcast, motherfuckers. My name is Crash. We are joined by our guest, Kyle, here. And also co-hosting this is my lovely wife, Belle. So we're starting this podcast because we often talk about political topics that get pretty heated sometimes. And I just find these conversations incredibly interesting. So we're essentially just going to be riffing about what we were talking about earlier. In our region of where we live, we have a certain governor trying to make budget cuts to our educational system, and we think it will be a detriment to our state and our educational system.
25% cuts
25%
to
cuts?
Public education, and like over 40% to the university systems. The university systems won't survive. There's no way. Not without consolidating. Right now, the way our universities are built, they're spread out between three different... What are you looking at me like that for?
I was looking at his phone. I didn't even look at you.
So essentially, yeah, what's going on right now is complete bullshit. What's happening is mainly due to the governor's goals when he was first elected. He's trying to... There's really no way of us talking about this without having to say what state we live in.
It's going to matter where we're
It doesn't. You know what? We live in Alaska. So
Let's
our governor...
start over. Let's start over.
No, we don't have to start over. Just keep it rolling.
Think about when we go back and cut this, though. It's going to be pretty...
We won't cut it then. See, this is what makes podcasts interesting. Without the edits and all the cuts. People want authenticity. I think a lot of people would agree. But anyway, so yeah, we live in Alaska. Mainly, we were trying to hide our location because we don't want motherfuckers to dox us. Because that seems to be a nice little trend going on, I think. But our governor, his name is Dunleavy. Michael Dunleavy, right?
Yes,
Michael Dunleavy. His platform to get elected governor was he was trying to return the PFDs to Alaska that were cut by our previous governor. What the hell? Why am I spacing his name?
Bill Walker.
Bill Walker? Why does that sound so weird?
It's not weird. That was his name.
That was his... Anyway. So, yeah. Bill Walker had essentially began cutting the PFD for Alaskans in order to provide more money to the state. The PFDs in Alaska, under the Alaskan Constitution, are supposed to be untouchable. So, of course, this infuriated a lot of people. The common people in Alaska didn't care about the state budget crisis that was happening. They just wanted their money.
I think with that, we should tell the people exactly what the PFD money is. So,
it's a yearly.
Yes, it's a yearly money we get due to the fact that we have such high oil revenue within the state of Alaska that some of that money is put away and then given to us once a year.
Yes. And people really love that extra income every year. It equates to $2,000 to $4,000 depending on the year. But what happened with Governor Walker, he put a cap on that. So Alaskans were only able to get about like $1,200 a year, which for some people that's okay. For a lot of people, they really rely or they really look forward to those higher incomes. And so Dunleavy, his platform was centered around returning the PFDs that we were owed back to the Alaskan people. Well, he's doing this through a variety of ways. The biggest way is cutting the education system. He's cutting the education budget by 20%, 25?
25.
25%, which is about what? I mean, I don't know what the
real, when you actually look at the numbers, and I am I had them up earlier and I can't find them anymore because they were on the governor's page and now for some reason they're not. But they had each department, every single thing. Some of them were literally in codes that I don't understand. But for the ones that you do understand, you know that the biggest cut that they're making is on student allocation. And that's essentially the amount of money that the state government gives per student to the districts. Okay? That is where he made the cuts. So it makes cuts across the country, the state, because each state is going to have those effects because no matter how many students they have, the number goes down because it's based on their students. Right?
Okay.
And that's where the 25% cut is coming from. And when they do that, when they make those cuts at the state level, the federal level will also make those cuts. Because essentially, if we don't match the standard that the federal government sees, we're essentially charged for it. There's a better way of putting it, but that's essentially what it is.
Right.
And so we're being cut in multiple places, and there's just no way for the schools to survive it.
You're saying that he's even trying to eradicate the rural districts.
Yes, one of the things, if you actually watch his press release, his own words, he says, and maybe we can manage to pull them up here to show you guys, but he actually says that he's going to get rid of rural community schools.
Yeah, I don't see the sense in that. I don't.
He sees cutting those schools as ways and allowing them to sort of build their own schools. But the problem with that is that they're then not meeting.
Coming from?
They're not going to meet federal expectations. Yes, and these small communities are not going to meet federal expectations for education. Okay, set by like programs like No Child Left Behind, right?
Right.
We have federally mandated tests. These rural districts are not out of.
Right. Even if
they don't get excused because
even if you opted to homeschool your child, you still have to meet the federal standard for education. Right. And so it's a completely ass-backwards plan for Dunleavy to be even attempting this. The school budget, from my understanding, has been, like your mom stated, has been reduced almost every year.
Yeah, and it has. And that's the worst part, is that this 25% cut, maybe 25 doesn't sound like that much, but it's like the fourth year in a row that we've taken at least a 20% cut to education.
Right.
It can't happen anymore. We've already gotten at schools that I'm at, the level of middle schools, you already have team time being taken away. And I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but it's making teachers teach during their planning hours, and it's allowing more students into classrooms in order to get rid of more of the teachers. And now they're talking about switching over to a trimester system that allows for even more teachers to be gotten rid of.
Right. And also, I mean, it doesn't make any really logical sense, especially from the curriculum that's currently being taught, because some of the books that you've shown me are dated back to before Bush was even in his second term. The school isn't getting funding, the proper funding to keep updating their curriculum to
my textbooks, exactly. And then and so that's where I do understand a little bit of the opposition. So, you know, what Dunleavy is saying that he's trying to do here is take the money away from the schools and then leave the school districts to figure out how they are going to then redistribute that. Because I don't disagree that there are problems in the district spending, you know, but I think taking more money away from it is not going to force them to rethink their spending, right? The reason I don't have textbooks is because the school isn't buying textbooks.
Right.
You know, the money is there to buy textbooks, but the money is being spent more on new projectors in classrooms.
And also, I think with like internet education, it's almost like they're kind of fending away from the textbooks in general.
Exactly. Everything is going to the technical side. You're right, and that could be a large part of why I have.
Now that I think about it, that could actually potentially save money, right? Because
absolutely, they're always talking about switching to online, and that's one of the things in the rural districts.
Pull out your ebook.
This is something you reminded me of. Something I'm learning is that the rural districts, they have they call it 1-to-1 ratios. It's where every student has a computer in front of them. And essentially, they do all their learning on a computer. So it's not always with a teacher. A lot of times, there will be a teacher who kind of helps them through their programs, but it helps them sort of learn at their own pace, and it allows for a school that typically has maybe 20 students.
Right.
All the way grades to K through 12, you know, less than that in even smaller towns. I know someone working at a school who literally has 8 students. And he says he teaches like one 3rd grader, one 8th grader, and one 12th grader, and that's his class. you know? So how do you stand in front of those students and teach? You don't. This is the sort of thing you need, right?
Right.
Well, the money for those computers, the way that they can build that one-to-one system, that comes from state funding that he's now talking about getting rid of.
Yeah.
So where do these students get their education? And I get living in rural communities, maybe they don't need this high level of education, but they still deserve to be able to learn to read and write.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know? And they deserve to learn how to adapt to society when they decide to leave the rural communities. Otherwise, they'll never get out.
And the question then becomes, like, say these budget cuts happen, in the rural communities are affected, and they're left with no school funding, therefore no school. What happens the next year? Like, as far as like the federal government's concerned, how it's looking at it. At that situation, you've got multiple communities here in Alaska not being educated. What the hell is going on? Mm-hmm. And so that begs the question.
That's where the federal government starts. That's literally where the fees come in. The federal government looks at us and they say, "You are not doing your job of educating your students to the level that we have set, and you are going to pay for that."
Glass of juice.
And that's what that is. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. Yes, no doubt about it. And not just in the rural communities, but across the state. Yes, please.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Wow. Yeah. It's a really shitty situation. It's one of those situations too where it really shows you what you need to do as far as your. What were you showing it? It really shows what you need to do as far as being a citizen of your state. The moment we started talking about this today, Belle informed me that she actually emailed one of our Alaska representatives. I did the same thing. So doing something like that could actually make a difference because this budget cut is yet to be voted on. And if we're letting our representatives know that this is something that we do not want, it is not beneficial to our state, then hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get some push in the right direction. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're hoping for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to go back to some old notes.
As far as this topic, I don't have really much to say on it. I did not vote in the last local election.
Bad 19-year-old. Bad!
How dare you give my age? Yes, I didn't vote mainly because I looked at what there was and I was like, I'd rather just not vote. None of the people that were put up for nominated, I felt comfortable voting for because none of them really spoke to my personal interests. So I didn't vote. I know I'm a tragic person. I didn't vote.
Well, I mean,
hey, you know what though? I prefer that.
If you don't know
what you're voting for, don't vote.
Then don't vote.
Yes,
I not completely vote against a bill or don't vote for a representative or a governmental leader unless you fully understand what it is that they intend to do within the state.
Yeah.
You know, we should have. I feel bad because I actually did vote for Dunleavy, and that's mainly due to my partisan thinking, and even during prior to his election. He was asked exactly how he was going to pay back the Alaskans for their PFD, and he essentially pulled a Trump. Oh, you'll see. You'll see how. Just watch and see.
Trust me, my budget plans, they're perfect.
They're perfect. Every Alaskan.
They're the biggest budget plans in the world.
Alaskan in the world.
That reminds me of the story. At one time, we were actually going to our local fair here, and we
don't have victories anymore.
Turn it down.
We were walking around the fair, and someone that actually I went to high school with, and Crash kind of knows.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Is that the wind?
We were walking around, and he walks up to us and starts talking to us, and like reacquainting, asking. Well, I don't want to give names, but I'm sure when I mention it, you'll remember. But I thought it was completely hilarious. He was walking around with this huge picket sign that said, "Vote no on Prop 1." So I go, "What's Prop 1?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know. They just gave me the sign, so I thought I'd walk around and, show my support."
Oh, I know you're talking.
So that just, I can't even remember what Prop 1 was back then, but that there was like, I thought that was
Prop
the
1 had to
stupidest
do
thing
with
ever.
newly regulating the Department of Fish and Game, right?
I
Or
don't
the
remember
salmon.
I think it was the bathroom one. Wasn't it the bathroom one?
I don't. Oh wait, was it?
I'm pretty sure it was the
the
bathroom one.
transgender bathroom issue.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I really don't.
But like that's what I feel is one of the
He
biggest.
was almost like
He's a pawn.
Willing plant.
He's a pawn.
within in the game.
I feel that certain politicians, and not just politicians, but certain people who like to call themselves activists, use the ignorance of the people themselves against them.
Oh,
they use the fact that the people don't take the time to learn what it is they're voting for and what it is that their politicians stand for.
Oh, they count on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing better than an uninformed population.
Just
there
like
really is.
this situation with Dunleavy. All these people went to vote for Dunleavy because he told them that he would give them bigger PFDs, but he didn't tell them why
Or how.
And now it's coming to bite them in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a really unfortunate situation for our state. A lot of deep regrets. Some people are diehard Republicans who support everything Republicans do for their state. I urge people, or at least the people in this group, to not rely so heavily on your political affiliation. There are things that your parties can do that do not benefit you and do not benefit your communities, and this is a prime example of that. I am a conservative, maybe a classical liberal. I don't really know these days. There's so many different goddamn terms for this lately. But this is one of those instances where I am highly disappointed in him, in that he's representing our state in a Republican fashion. In this type of fashion. I don't know if I'm even saying that correctly, but anyway.
I like to think that I'd never like to marry myself to a certain political party, just because parties change, for one. They have throughout history.
Yeah.
And just because, if I am a Republican, I'm expected to, abide and have the same viewpoints as all Republicans, but that is not true. I have viewpoints that differ from that of Republicans. Even though I would classify myself as a Republican, I would not say that the Republican 100% stands for my viewpoint.
Oh, absolutely. There's a game being played as far as political parties. I feel like the Republicans, though, truth be told, are playing this game a little better. I can't specifically say what the game is because I am just making this up as I go. But I guess as far as the political game, right now, Republicans, whether you're a leftist, liberal, Democrat, whatever, I believe that the Republicans are actually more sensible these days in what's actually going on in the political system. So right now, all I'm doing is looking up, I don't know, current day stuff about what's going on. Because, or were we arguing about something else?
One thing I did want to bring up is
the wall. We were talking about the wall.
Yeah, the wall. Oh yeah, because since we live in Alaska, we're not as heavily affected by immigration as, say, people in California or people in Texas, all across all the southern states,
That's where I differ from them. Honestly, I believe everything affects us.
I think
eventually.
I think it affects us to the degree that it affects our federal budget. If I remember the numbers correctly, because of illegal immigration here, it's racked up around $15 billion, between $15 billion, I could be wrong, and $20 billion towards our federal budget, towards our federal deficit, whatever you want to call it. I know they're two different things, but I think that is a problem. Nix illegal immigration, even reduce it in half. The wall estimated, if we were to build the wall that Trump wants to build, we would see a reduction in illegal immigration by about 40 to 60%. Those are the numbers that have been run. Even leftist sites have cited the same numbers. Of course, that is not a total eradication of the illegal immigration problem, but that is half the problem. $15 billion, half of it, $15 billion, education. I mean, I know the money would probably be consolidated a little more proportionately, but...
I do agree, actually, with you on that. I do see how illegal immigration affects our budget. Like, I do understand that. And I agree with that. But I think my problem with the way it's been is with the way it's been done.
Yeah.
Just in general, like, I do see this as a problem. I think even Democrats see that problem and know that at that point we do need to do something about it.
Right.
The issue is the urgency, the sudden urgency.
And also they don't want to satisfy Trump because Trump is one of the most hated men in America right now. It probably, I don't know, probably across the world. I don't know. It's really about 50-50. I can't really say for sure. But a lot of it has to do with just not allowing Trump to win. It's not allowing him to give him what he wants. And that's kind of, with the whole government shutdown that happened, that was essentially, I was listening to Ben Shapiro, he essentially called it a poker game. I had called it a chess game. I think his analogy was a little more spot on.
No, you have to be educated to play chess.
Yeah, exactly. But it was essentially Trump calling a bluff the entire time, and the Democrats saw it from the beginning. They knew that he was going to have to cave. They knew he was going to have to falter.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what he
used
did.
the terminology. The Democrats were playing with a pair of twos, and Trump was trying to pull a bluff. And you know what? The Democrats won with a pair of twos.
Exactly. And yeah, it was interesting while it lasted. Huh?
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. It was an interesting situation to kind of witness. Obviously, it only affected a certain number of people. I think it was like the number of 800,000 people. And it didn't affect us who are not residing in the federal government.
Yeah.
And we couldn't go to state parks? So that part of the thing? I mean, it's winter time.
I thought this was hilarious because at my work, they were constantly talking about how bad it was that we were in the middle of government shutdown. But one of my coworkers was actually talking about how their friend, right after they said the government was opening up, that their friend that works for the government that had been doing so hard was now about to go on a 2-week vacation. If you are doing so hard, don't you think that the minute you can go back to work, you are going to go back to work?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. That's weird. As far as my stance on the wall, I mean, everything that's been happy with it. Of course, there was the issue with Trump trying to re-shut down the government. As far as I understand, Trump has confirmed that he will not be doing that. He kind of faltered on that as well, which honestly I think is a good thing. There's no real need to shut down the government again when it's going to just result in the same damn thing.
Agreed.
As far as I can tell. I can't say for certain.
One thing I did want to bring up here is the whole thing, controversy around Ilhan Omar and what she said.
I have to look up exactly what. Are you doing that already?
Doing what?
And how do you say her name?
Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar. She's part of the House committee. I can't remember for which state. She's a Muslim woman. I don't know her exact ethnicity, but essentially she's been saying some anti-Semitic stuff. Obviously not blatantly, but a lot of what she's been saying is masking her anti-Semitism
Ilhan Omar
not
is
too well.
A Somalian-American politician serving as a U.S. representative. Yeah, I actually learned this today. I didn't know this. Ilhan Omar is actually a Somalian refugee. So she is not a U.S. citizen.
Oh. Wait, what? Yeah, she is.
Well, she wasn't.
She was. Yeah, she immigrated here.
Yes, that's what I meant. She's not a natural-born citizen.
Yes, there you go. There we go.
She's the U.S. representative for Minnesota's 5th congressional district.
Okay. Ilhan Omar.
I'm sure you'll look it up, but she said some things that people flagged as anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And this is something that actually I've talked about for a while, and I saw it in the Women's March, and I've seen it a few times after, and it's something that I honestly think needs to be addressed. A lot of times when you listen to Democratic politicians talk or Democratic activists talk, they tell you about how rampant the Republican Party is, how many racists there are, and how bad it is. For months, I've been saying that the Democratic Party is just as bad. They have their people just like the Republicans. They have racists, they have anti-Semitics.
Yeah.
And I think if...
What are you doing?
I'll let you guys finish before I get into what I'm like.
Okay, well, to give you an sorry to cut you off, but to give you an example of one of the tweets, this is pretty blatantly anti-Semitic. Israel. This is from Ilhan Omar. Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel. I don't know if you guys know this, but Israel is a Jewish state.
It is. And
Ilhan Jewish.
Yeah, Ilhan Omar has also come out in support of the BDS movement. I don't know if you...
Bella, get in here. Get it.
Getting both dogs out there?
Think so.
Get them both in.
Leave one of them out. They keep fighting.
No, because they're a noise distraction.
And Tessa can spend time outside.
She's got all that fur. She'll be fine.
So Ilhan Omar is openly a supporter of the BDS movement. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's...
The BDS movement?
Yes. It is boycott, divest, and sanction, which is something that Arabic countries around Israel came upon after the last time we tried to pretty much bring peace to Israel. When we tried so last time the UN went in and tried to pretty much solve the problem between the Palestinians and the Jewish Israelites of Israel, and pretty much tried to divide the land up. And Israel agreed to it, but the surrounding Arabic countries and the Palestinians didn't want anything to do with it. They said they wanted Israel to be gone. And they went back to, I think it was Jordan. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was Jordan. And they got together and they put together this BDS, which is boycott, divest, and sanction. They also put together, I call it the no bill. It was no trade, no recognition, no help. I can't remember all of it. I'm not sitting in front of a computer right now. But pretty much what it is these people refuse to acknowledge Israel as a Jewish state. I think that in itself is anti-Semitic. Why can't we not have a Jewish state? We have Muslim states. Why can't we have Jewish states?
Yeah, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either. I think... Here's another thing. Well, this was a response to a tweet that she... Here's a response to a tweet from Ilhan Omar, directed at Glenn Greenwald. GOP leader, this is from Glenn Greenwald, GOP leader Kevin McCarthy threatens punishment for Ilhan of Minnesota at her Twitter handle over their criticisms of Israel. It's stunning how much time U.S. political leaders spend defending a foreign nation, even if it means attacking free speech rights of Americans. And she responded, it's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Oof.
Yep.
So, in that regard,
it's all about that Jewish money.
I say you're going to advocate for free speech now. What about when Steve King all he tried to say was that white supremacy wasn't a bad word, which I don't agree with. Yeah, that was wrong. But immediately after he said that, the Democratic Party called for the Republican Party to condemn Steve King. Steve King, he could be a racist. I don't know him. I've never met the man.
Steve King? Why does he sound familiar?
He's one of the senators. I think he's in the Carolinas.
Wikipedia is the best thing ever.
I got it.
Anyone in the world can write anything they want about any subject. So you know you are getting the best possible information.
Oh, no,
Wikipedia is the best thing ever.
I didn't expect to be so
Anyone
long.
in the world
Let's
can
find
write.
some new soundboards. I know. They're hilarious.
We don't have victories anymore.
You just don't need your volume to be that loud at all.
I feel what was done about Senator Steve King was a right response. But now I feel that the Democratic Party has to do the same on their side and condemn these people for anti-Semitism. Because anti-Semitism is just as bad as racism. And if you're truly going to fight and say that we need no hate speech, then you need to fight for it on your own side as well. You can't just tell the other party that, hey, you need to fix your shit when you're a mess too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the truth be told, it's kind of all a mess.
You can't drive down the street. You can't drive down the street in a hunk of, like, and a beater with a heater, like a van that barely runs, and then park up to someone with, like, an old, like, classic Camaro that's pretty messed up and tell them, hey, you need to get yourself a better car. It's hypocrisy.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Babe, did you say you wanted to talk about something?
Well, you just asked what I was looking at, and just got excited. I kept telling you that I knew somewhere in my notes I had some information.
Oh, did you find it?
Class, I did. It's just about the permanent fund, like how the permanent fund runs.
Right.
And then it just kind of got me going down the rabbit hole of, like, oil prices and everything.
Oh, you know what I can
And the
do?
thing is, looking at the price of oil, we're actually better currently than we were 3 years ago.
Also, you were saying...
But that doesn't stop them from making
you were saying... Well, I know, but you were saying ConocoPhillips or BP is developing a new way to drill.
Oh, yeah, I saw that the other day. Yeah, well, I think it was ConocoPhillips. Let me see if I can find that article. Do you want to take the dude?
Give me your dude.
Oh, I thought it said dude on the shirt. That would have been even cooler. The coolest dude ever.
Did you make a poopy? Did you make a doo-doos?
Okay. Oh, careful, please. You might need to.
The podcast has been ruined.
Yep, more towards... More. That's good.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. You said his name.
I didn't say his name.
Whose name? My name?
I did not say his name.
Did
You said
You
move.
just said it.
I never said it.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you
Move
did.
it closer to you. I said move it closer to you.
Ah, well, you know
Bleep
what?
it out.
We'll bleep it.
We'll bleep it.
Sorry, guys.
Bleep, bleep,
I
bleep,
feel like we
bleep,
need
bleep,
to
bleep.
stay mysterious. I guess we'll find out. Maybe in a few years, if people aren't, like, asking for our heads, we'll come out with it.
You never know.
What was I looking for? That's right. ConocoPhillips. It's called, like, a mega rig. Mega refinery equipment. Good. None of these companies are like...
Oh, did you hear today that David Hogg had said, I think it was today or maybe yesterday, I don't know, but he claimed that AR-15s are solely for hunting human beings. He's like, the only reason why someone would want to shoot something at a range of 1,200 meters per second is to hunt human beings or some shit like that. This kid should not be in the media. He is completely ridiculous, uninformed.
I mean, like, that's just as ridiculous as them saying that an AR-15 is an assault rifle. It's not a rifle. No, an AR-15 is a rifle. A rifle is still a rifle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just because it's black and looks scary, it's got to be banned, man.
Which
even though they account for the least amount of deaths in America, but they are the sole weapon used for mass shootings.
See, but I've always wondered this.
It's like, well, there's mass shootings going on. It all depends on how you define mass shootings, right?
I've always wondered this. Why are they so advocate to get rid of the assault rifle and the AR-15? Why not pistols?
Yeah, they account for most of the deaths.
Pistols, honestly, like a pistol, a handgun, only has one use, and that's protection. You don't use a pistol to go hunting unless you're
unless you're protecting yourself against bears.
Bears, yeah. Even it's a protection. It's not practical for hunting or anything else. It's protection. But I don't know. I guess their attack is on assault rifles. And to that I always say,
it's because
well, if I go run down 12 people with my car, are you going to outlaw cars?
Well, that's where the argument starts losing ground, is because it's just like, I still need to get I still need to get a license to get a car. I need registration and insurance. It's just like, okay, just because you obtain all those things doesn't make someone a good driver. Okay, there are mentally ill people behind the wheel who are driving around the streets every day. And what's to stop them from running down a mass of people? The only thing really preventing it is the idea of prison.
Maybe what we need to be looking at is psychological help.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, providing more psychological services.
No, absolutely. But as far as the guns go, there do need to be stricter background checks. But as far as checking into people's mental health, you kind of have to draw a line of what mental illnesses are going to bar you from being able to get a gun, like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, chronic constipation. I don't know.
Chronic masturbation.
Chronic masturbation. And would be one.
Yeah. So
trigger point.
I watch a lot of Ben Shapiro. I watch a lot of his just talks. Not even just debates, just him. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Young America Foundation. He does a lot of talks for them. And one of them I was watching, he was talking about how in recent years there has been a decline in the amount of people in institutions for the mentally ill. And I believe that this is not because there are less mentally ill people out there. I think it's because people try to push it to the side. They try to, when they see like someone suffering from, say, like depression, right, they try to push that to the side, like, oh, they're just sad. Or I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this. Transgender. I 100% feel like the transgender movement is people who suffer through like a little bit of mental problems. Because honestly, in my opinion, I
have to agree with you, because if you have to have some form of cognitive dissonance to be able to look at your body.
There has to be a standard.
Right, to be able to look at your body, see that you have a penis, and go, but I feel like a woman. Well, that should be telling you that something's not lining up mentally. That doesn't mean that your brain is tricking you, or society is tricking you and telling you that you're something that you're not. Having the biology is the ultimate evidence that you need to be able to determine what it exactly is that you are. With that being said, though, I have no problems with transgender people wanting to be portrayed as the sex that they want to be portrayed as. Where it starts getting crazy is the legislative pushes towards it, like what was going on with Canada, like SB 91 or something like that. I can't remember the exact bill. But they were actually trying to make it a hate crime to not call someone by their preferred gender pronoun, which is crossing very dangerous territory as far as freedom of speech is concerned.
So, there's a few problems I have with this. One is that if you want to say if you're a man and want to say you're a woman, or if you're a woman and want to say you're a man, great. You're a woman or you're a man. But I do not think that it is right for you to sit here and tell me that I am promoting hate speech against you when I refuse to say your proper pronoun. No, I'm going to use the pronoun that you were given at birth. When you came out, the doctor said it's a boy or it's a girl. And I'm going to say, if I look at you and you look like a boy or a girl, I'm going to say you're either a boy or a girl. I'm sorry, but that's how I...
Hold that thought.
It's not like you
Take
can
a quick
even tell the
break.
difference.
Okay, pardon the break. Before we left off, we were on the topic of transgenderism, unfortunately.
Oh, good.
We'll dive onto that probably another time, because I don't even remember where the hell we left off with that. I guess we could go back to the footage, but I really don't want to.
Me neither.
2 plus 2 is 4.
Quick maths! Anyway.
What?
Minus 1, that's 3.
Nice.
Big Shaq. The man from the top. I don't even know what that means. Anyway.
You were asking me about that monster rig. I actually did end up finding that article.
Monster rig? Oh, yeah.
So
the BP.
ConocoPhillips has ordered some new monster rig that they're going to try out here in Alaska that should, it says, crush long distance drilling records. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It
Well,
seems like it'll be good.
Drill
But I've
for
heard
money!
Well, what I've heard is
Remember
that
that little-
they should be able to drill in new areas with this.
Remember that-
places they couldn't get to before.
Remember that little girl from,
Yeah,
I
drill,
know.
baby, drill!
Drill, baby, drill! Hey, that's
You
Alaska's
know what?
economy, so we need it.
You know what? As liberal as you may be in this state,
No ketchup. Just sauce.
you can't not support
Raw
violence to
sauce.
some extent. That's really annoying.
I know, sorry. I was just playing with it. I'm discovering all these sounds and I'm loving it.
You know what I just realized?
I
don't know if we ever switched the audio microphone.
Also, we probably have sound right now.
I think...
If we have sound, we apologize.
Let me see if I can switch it if it's not going to make a difference. If I can switch it midway.
This is a very ghetto setup that we have here.
We're working on it. It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. It's only going to get better with time. This is
Someday
our
we're
first
gonna get a
podcast,
whiteboard.
and as you can tell, we're a pretty ignorant set of individuals. Actually, I can really only speak to myself and Kyle. The real educated person would be my lovely wife.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't.
College is for them.
I have my beliefs. I have my opinions in regards
You
to
can go to
a
college
lot of
and
these
you should go to
situations going on in the country
Yeah.
right now. But I would never do, unless I know if I know my facts, then I'm going to speak my facts. But if I'm ever wrong, then I'm wrong. And if we ever say anything that's wrong, please feel free to correct us in the comments, and we will better educate ourselves for future podcasts. That is my quick little note on that.
Yes,
Anyway.
we'd always love to start conversations with new people or expand our ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
Even myself, I find that I'm always learning from new people. I don't really like to take a stand on any one thing because I think that there's always more that I
Right, we
learn.
can always have our initial view of a certain situation, but having that extra perspective in regards to,
Change my mind.
yeah, well, not necessarily. Yeah, well, yeah, change my mind.
Kind of,
But
but
like,
I actually don't mind when people change my mind because
right,
it gives me.
because here we are, like,
perspective.
we don't, like, we're not like sitting here pulling up facts. We're like pulling up articles or like voicing our opinions on it. Well, mainly just talking. We haven't pulled up many articles so far, but we're talking about things that obviously we're passionate about and have an opinion towards. And we would invite people to come here with those same passions and opinions towards these topics. If you have a different opinion, even better, because we get to hear these and exchange ideas and see, build. That's the whole goal, is build. There is plenty of
Fair warning too, if you come on this show, they forbid eating. I consider this torture. This is like a gulag.
He wants a muffin. I told
You
him
want
not
to know
to
about
eat
a
a
gulag?
muffin.
You read this book I've got. I got this book called Cannibal Island.
I was
No,
just
you
about
told
to
me
say.
about that. It's the one about the island that was in the middle of the river
Yeah.
that nobody could get to. Yeah.
But
Where
yeah,
they
all
dropped
the people
was a
outside
real
of the
gulag.
island could actually like
View what was
see
happening.
Yeah.
see the people who were dropped there.
Excellent book. True story if you're interested.
Yes, I have not read it, but sounds fascinating.
It is fast. Sounds.
And you know what? I think I lent it to Danny.
Right? Yeah.
I don't think if that came back.
Yeah, probably not. God damn it.
If that was back from them.
Damn it. Okay.
What the heck?
Why do I want to listen to the Soviet?
It's funny. I don't know, because Kyle's just saying that it's a good piece of music or something.
It is. It is well orchestrated, I think. I mean, like, you don't have to support somebody's political views to think that, hey, it's a pretty good anthem.
Yeah, I don't know. Looking at or listening to it, I just can't help but to like, America. No, nothing to do with that.
Trade, they
Thinking that America
brainwashed
is
you.
better. Oh man. Okay, excuse my coughing. I'm a smoker. I'm a filthy, filthy smoker. Sorry, I'm just going through these randomized articles that pop up through my Chrome, trying to find something that's interesting because I kind of lost.
Oh no, you can always go to, like, what's on the YouTube trending page. That's always bullshit.
What? Chuck E. Cheese apparently was forced to deny rumors of splicing together leftover pizzas following viral conspiracy video.
Bill and Melinda Gates talk taxing the wealthy.
Apparently there was a video after a YouTuber circulated the theory in a video published earlier this week. The video claims, the claims made in the video about Chuck E. Cheese and our pizza are unequivocally false, a representative for Chuck E. Cheese said in the theory, which said of the theory, which YouTuber Shane Dawson floated on Monday. Oh, Shane Dawson. Why is he even still relevant?
Is this about the Chuck E. Cheese thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I was hearing about this on the
Was
radio
it supposed to be a
today.
blatant joke? Or was this
No,
something
he was
serious?
actually... Okay, this is what I heard on the radio. They said that there was some kind of myth going around on the internet that Chuck E. Cheese re-pieced together their pizzas. Okay? That their pizzas were, like, when someone wouldn't finish a full pizza, they would take the leftovers,
Right.
put them back on a plate, put them back together, throw some cheese on it, remelt it. It was like some myth going around the internet. Apparently, Shane Dawson went into Chuck E. Cheese to, like, prove or disprove the myth.
Right.
And then the CEOs of Chuck E. Cheese had to, like, come out and, like...
But did he prove it? Is the
No! Essentially, he just, like, showed the sort of oblong pizza and was like, oh, yeah, look,
It
it's
looks
funny.
like it's, yeah, it's funny.
So they had to, like, come out and say, like, no, this is not what happened.
Here,
Our
let's
pizza
see
is
what kind
fine.
of outrage I can potentially cause for the sake of YouTube views.
God, you know, I used to
Piece
watch
of
the
shit.
hell out of Shane Dawson when I was young, though, you know?
He was that emo-looking guy.
Oh,
He
I
had the
remember.
emo here.
I'm
Emo
telling you,
hair.
I watched the hell
Oh, I
out of Shane
know.
Dawson.
I'm clarifying for the sake of
I
myself.
don't even know how
Um,
they looked that emo.
So, I know
It
what
was
I want
really
to talk
kind of
about.
goofy.
Because you actually, you commented to it on Facebook. Netflix wants to make an AOC documentary.
Oh, God.
To that, I say, where's the Trump documentary?
There is a Trump documentary, actually.
Is it a good one?
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm sure someone.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's like...
But
You don't usually make documentaries about bad people unless they're like serial killers. And
Yeah,
are,
it's
like,
Hitler and...
being idolized as bad people.
Right.
As far as that, I gotta say, what has AOC done? Like, why does she need a
Oh,
documentary?
she used to be a bartender. And so now she's...
She used to be a bartender?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Because anybody can make a documentary about anybody. I'll go make a documentary about my husband.
But
and
not everybody can make a
He's gonna watch
documentary
it
that
and
has it
he's gonna get
sponsored by Netflix.
That's kind of
Whatever,
the
Netflix
frustrating.
can do whatever they want. We're a capitalist system with privatized companies. They
I
can
just don't
do
think
whatever the fuck
she's-
they want.
She, as Ben Shapiro puts it, she's So fresh. So
based.
So based.
Not that I mean, she is a...
I don't even like to call her AOC. I like to call her Crazy Eyes because every time I see her, it looks like she is like trying to figure out ways to like 7 different ways to slice your head off. That's exactly what she looks like.
Well, I can't remember. There was a comedian who said it where he was talking about like this person with weird eyes, and he was like, "It looks like when he looked at me, like he was trying to solve the most complicated math equations ever on my forehead."
Oh yeah, I think I've heard that.
Yeah. See, the thing is, she's an idiot, but so is Trump. So it's not
Yeah,
like
but who's the bigger idiot?
They're idiots in their own kinds of ways. I think
That's okay. That's true.
she has.
That's
I
fair.
think she has more compassion for
That's
the
just
lower class
rounded
people,
in idiocy.
I don't know that it's rounded in idiocy. She cares about people. That's what
Okay, but that doesn't make everything that she's saying correct.
I'm not saying that it makes it correct.
That's
I'm talking,
the problem that I have with it.
You're not letting me get to my point. Hold on. You're not letting me get to my point. What I'm saying is both her and Trump are morons. None of what they say can hold ground. That's irrelevant to the point. I'm talking about their character as people. She supports people. That's what she cares about. How she goes about it, whatever. She believes in corruption. She believes in ending corruption. She believes in helping out people so that everyone can survive and sustain a decent life. Okay?
Yeah, I'm not saying she's a bad person.
Can you say the same thing about Trump?
Yeah, I could.
About the individual people. You think that Trump cares about you yourself, the amount of money that you're able to make.
I don't think she
the amount
cares.
of care that you're able to get.
I don't think she cares either.
I think she does.
I don't
really.
think she does.
Where's the evidence for that? What has she
The
done
things that she
proves...
advocates for.
Like what?
Healthcare systems to provide healthcare for every single person.
Yeah,
so that
Bernie
everyone
Sanders too. Doesn't mean he gives two shits.
Sanders is talking about it in
He's more... The way I view it, these people are more concerned with making billionaires non-existent. They don't like the concept of billionaires. They don't care for you as an individual. They care about to the extent of which they view billionaires as corrupt.
What's so interesting is that if you ask them, they say the exact same thing about billionaires, that they literally don't see you as a person.
Yeah, but billionaires tend to donate more to charity than anybody else.
Because they can take it as a tax write-off.
That's not the only reason. Bill Gates is going, when he dies...
He's also an exception. He's
an exception. What about Warren
Buffett?
the
Mongols
He's doing
in
the
this
same
situation?
thing.
Yeah.
He's giving away most of his money when he dies.
I'm not going to talk about individual millionaires and what they do with their fortunes. That's up to them. And I'm not saying that I support taxing them at 91% or whatever.
I'm not saying that.
All I am saying is that as a person, her character supports the everyday person.
So
you and I, of our class.
You can make the argument, but
you can make the argument. Okay.
I haven't seen anything that really shows that.
Everything I see shows that.
If you've seen it,
have you seen her
I
tax
am
proposal?
not saying that I support her. I just know what she stands for. And that is what she stands for, and I'm baffled
I don't
that you
think
don't see that.
I don't think she is an
What is
immoral
the platform
person.
that you think she runs on? I didn't say she was a moral person.
I said an immoral person.
Okay.
I don't think she is immoral. I don't think that she is a bad person. I don't think she has bad intentions. I don't think that she is against the common people in any sense. I'm sure
unless you're a billionaire Jewish.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Because her
never
ultimate
seen
goal,
her-
whether she realizes, like I said, I don't think she's immoral, but whether she realizes it or not, the things that she wants to do that are quote-unquote going to help the economy are actually going to do more damage to the economy is my point. She fails to see that, and she fails to see the evidence for it.
And I'm not, and that's what I'm saying. I don't support her, and I'm not advocating for her.
Right.
But I'm talking about her character, and I'm comparing it to Trump's character, because that's what we're coming down to.
Well, right.
Two
but
idiots, which one's the better one? I'd say based on character that she is.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, I take her character way better than I take Trump's. He doesn't give a two about you.
So, you think she cares about the common people. Her tax proposal is a 70% tax on everybody who makes over $10,000. Do you think that most of the general public
I
makes
would
under
love to
$10,000?
see that number because I don't buy it.
Let's look into that. I'm actually curious.
And again, I'm not saying that I support her.
I know. I know what you're saying.
We're not saying you support her, but I have to say, moral and moral.
The crux of why we even brought her up is because I do not find her to be an intelligent person.
No.
I found her...
She's a moron.
She is.
What?
She's a moron.
Yeah, she's a
I
moron.
agree.
Well, exactly. I think she just got lucky in her circumstances. Because based off the population and where she resides, of course she was going to win the goddamn vote.
Oh, yeah. So you're talking about places where you actually get more than, one representative. By the way, if you don't know that, the state of Alaska gets one representative for our entire state. Because nobody lives here. Even though we have the most amount of federal lands, right? That's an issue.
But you guys brought up billionaires earlier, and you say that they hate billionaires. No. Bernie Sanders and Crazy Eyes or Alexandria, they love billionaires. They love billionaires because billionaires are how they're going to fund these proposals that they put forth.
Okay.
All of their proposals are funded by
ideas. I definitely do not support Bernie Sanders' ideas.
I do not either. But I think...
I was just talking about her character, not about her politics.
I think AOC takes a more socialist stance than Bernie Sanders does.
I don't know. I haven't looked at that stuff. I honestly could care less about her. The first time I heard her at all was when I showed you that thing the other day, the video of her talking about corruption and election law.
I think her New Deal is going to get shut down.
There's
no way they're going to push something like that through. It's too radical.
Well, yeah, even the Democrats realize that.
And that's what we need to remember
running for
sometimes,
president.
is just because one radical, stupid-ass person is saying something does not mean that the rest of the
There just happens to be most of the
rest of
candidates
Congress
that
is
are running
going
on.
to rally behind them.
I feel as though most...
On average, most congressmen vote in favor of their constituencies.
No.
They vote by what their people want them to vote for. So the reason that we are so polarized as a country is because the people that live here are so polarized.
What I've seen with a lot of these people coming out and running for president, like all of these new candidates coming from the Democratic Party, they seem to be mostly far leftist radicals. You have people like Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker,
Well, right, because
Kamala Harris.
the Democratic Party is trying to put up its people to, like, literally be the opposite of Trump. That's why I think we're going to see a really big shift from both sides to the middle of people just abandoning all hope and
I don't have a direct
voting
number on how much he
independent.
plans on taxing people who earn over just a little over $10,000. I don't think it's that high.
There's no way.
It wouldn't be that high because that would go against everything that she's even she's ever talked about. She wants to be able to redistribute.
I mean, that number is ridiculous.
Right? Yeah, she would want to be able to redistribute that wealth, much like, as far as I understand, I could be wrong. Much like Bernie Sanders.
7%.
But also use that money to fund the Green New Deal, which essentially would require completely changing our entire society. They're literally talking about within a 10-year period, replacing all infrastructure, eliminating air travel, have everyone travel by speed train, the fast trams, whatever they're called, like in Japan. Huh? Yeah, it would be great for us, but
if you're in Alaska. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I was taking it seriously for a little bit.
I know.
But anyway.
That actually reminds me of something else that got cut by Dunleavy, and this is a big one. Maybe not so much to us, but imagine living in Southeast. He has made like cuts to the Alaska Marine Highway systems and essentially says that he thinks that they need to privatize Alaska Marine Highway, the ferry system.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine living in Southeast without the ferries?
Yeah, you'd be
You can't go anywhere.
Yeah. It's retarded.
Living in a state that isolates you so much, I mean...
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult to just
You go out
drive
of your
down
mind and
to
you
Lower
make
48.
podcasts in your kitchen.
Yep. This is what it's come down to. It's fun. It's very fun.
Another thing I want to talk about, which I actually, I sent this to you earlier. There's a common, like, a lot of people, there's a common, I wouldn't say myth,
FDR
but belief that the reason that the U.S.
It's not a
economy...
belief, it's an interpretation.
Interpretation. I'm sorry,
of
I
history.
couldn't...
There are plenty of people who have evidence to back that interpretation.
I personally, I think the only reason that the U.S. economy was able to, like, thrive so much after the Great Depression was the fact that we were in World War II. And after World War II, pretty much all of Western had been wiped out except for the U.S. So we were...
Yeah, because we were the major producers of every single thing that we used in the war.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
And it only makes common sense.
It only makes common sense.
Thank you, President Trump, for your wise words.
That was a little too loud.
Yeah, no arguments here on that one, Kyle. But there is definitely plenty of evidence that can show the otherwise. And that's what's hard about history. It's what I love about history, but it's also what's hard.
Can
How do you
interpret
really
it?
know unless you were there yourself?
What? Go down.
What are your guys' thoughts on Louis C.K. and this whole
Come back to her.
comeback tour?
Good for her.
I've never had a problem with Louis C.K.
Even with the
Me too.
sexual Me Too, his Me Too moment.
Everyone seems to have had.
Well, like, the big thing with it, I think, is obviously sexual assault in any form is completely reprehensible.
What level of sexual assault was he even accused of?
He didn't never put his hands on a woman. What he
Wasn't
did,
like jacked off
he
in
was
public?
jacking off in front of women with their permission. He
That's
was
just
essentially
indecent exposure.
well, he would ask their permission. It's an indecent exposure would be without their permission.
Wait, so he asked for their permission and they consented to this?
Yes,
That is not sexual assault.
But there's a power dynamic because they look up to Louis C.K. He was essentially their employer.
So, you don't think, if my boss came to me and told
According to
me...
you, that's a tyrant, right? An abuse of power.
It's abuse of power. It's tyrant. No, if my boss were to
I
come
taught
to
my
me...
students that word today, and I even told them, I was like, my 19-year-old brother used this word wrong, so I'm going to make sure that all of you know what it means.
I used it wrong, even though I looked up the textbook definition, but...
Anyway.
Anyways, if my boss went to me and told me you have to sit here and watch me jack off, I don't know about you guys, but I have the common
But
sense
see-
to go,
but see-
that sounds a little fishy. I'm going to go with no.
The issue though is you're not in a Hollywood position. You're not
also not.
you're not being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to be put in some kind of role or a lead
And
role.
essentially made to feel that if you don't do this, you are going to live on the street.
Or
because you
ride
work.
on the coattails of Louis C.K. as a comedian because you yourself are trying to become an up-and-coming comedian. And so you have Louis C.K. here who's saying, hey, I can help you along and do this and provide this for you. But all of a sudden, he invites you into his room to have a meeting or whatever. And all of a sudden, during the middle, he's just like, would you mind if I masturbated in front of you? All of a sudden...
So you can't find another comedian that would help you?
I guess not. I mean, that's the whole thing, though. It's incredibly... It's kind of a really weird situation if you think about it. So I can really understand kind of where these like women are coming from and why it's like so troubling. But to the degree in which he's been cast out. I mean, it's all in fairness. I mean, he lost a bunch of money, and he lost a lot of movie deals. But there was a bunch of outrage for him even coming out less than a year later, thinking he can do stand-up comedy again and not address what he did. It's just like, well, who are you to say when's the right
That's just him
time?
showing I'm ready to move on. Like, this is so over and done with. Let's just continue on with our lives.
That's the beauty of capitalism.
Not even-
If you don't like someone, you don't have to give them your money.
Oh yeah.
People don't seem to understand that.
But so I think the main issue people have are they don't want him to have a platform in which to speak, whether it be to tell jokes or...
If you don't like him, don't watch him. Don't give money to him.
But some people
Ignore
don't
him.
want him to speak at all. They think that he is
That's a
done
violation
harm
of free
to
speech.
Oh, I know. Oh, absolutely, 100%. And there honestly there isn't a goddamn thing that they can do about it. One of the awesome things is there was a comedy club that he was going to be performing at, and they said it's going to be a 21 and older show. We understand everything that's been associated with Louis C.K. and what's gone on, but we feel like people don't want to hear what he has to say or don't want to see him. That's their prerogative. We support our comedians. It's essentially what they said in a nutshell.
I completely agree with that. I have this friend who I think is a complete idiot. He was trying to explain to me how communism is the answer, which I think he's...
Oh, we're going on to a different topic here?
No, this kind of relates. He was like, the capitalist system's corrupt. And I said, listen, no matter what you do, you're going to end up with corruption in a system. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
The difference is that in a capitalist system with corruption, you can choose not to give your money to those corrupt businesses. In a communist system that's corrupt, you cannot choose not to give the government your money.
Yeah. Yeah, there's pretty much you're working for the government, from what I understand about communism. I don't know too much about it, to be honest, but I know it's not good. It's not a good system to run your country through. I didn't say that right.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yeah, as much as Bernie Sanders thinks that it would work. Oh wait, no, he was talking about socialism. Like I said, there are two ends of the same turd.
Same turd.
They're the same turd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, to Bernie Sanders, I say, what about Venezuela? You used to like to talk so much about how Venezuela was moving towards a socialist movement, but once their economy took a downturn, all of a sudden you want to denounce it?
You're fired.
Thanks, Trump.
You're fired.
You're fired. You're fired. Get your ass out.
I think the very idea that Bernie Sanders is actually thinking about running again is completely insane. He lost. People obviously
Oh man, his reaction
don't agree with his...
to Trump saying this is never going to be a socialist country was beautiful.
We should like meme it in right here. If we can, edit it in right here.
Yep. Yeah,
I love Bernie.
Mhm.
That was a good Trump moment.
right there.
See, that's where I think I differ from you
The
guys.
Democratic Party desperately needs to put up a better option this year. Both parties.
Howard Schultz doesn't seem too bad.
Howard
They don't
Schultz
have-
is running as moderate, though.
I thought he was running as a Democrat.
I heard he was running independent.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. But he has more Democratic leanings, I think.
He
That's what I'm
does,
saying.
but he
It's
has
like
some good policies.
Both parties from both ends are leaning in towards the middle now, and I think we get like a whole new breed of independent.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to look more into Howard Schultz. Apparently, there's a whole bunch of people that don't like this guy because they think that he's essentially somehow going to get Trump reelected. I don't understand the logic there.
So, what their concern is that Howard Schultz, as a moderate, is going to split the Democratic Party between its moderates and its radicals. And they think that this is going to split the Democratic Party and not
Because
going to
it
be
would.
able to...
What just happened in our governor race here?
It's
You had Dunleavy running Republican, and you had Begich running as a Democrat, and you had Walker running as an independent, right?
Right.
Walker is an independent. He had the lieutenant governor running under him was a Democrat, I believe. So he was like,
Byron
or
Malone.
maybe he was actually, I don't remember. Anyway,
I try to think
essentially what Walker did is he took half the votes away from Begich. Half the people, half of the Democratic Party who would have voted for Begich had there not been another option, voted for Walker because they had two options to choose from. Because Walker ran as an independent.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then, even after having had to drop out of the race, most people still either voted for him or wrote him in.
Right.
And so Begich still lost a majority of the votes. And that's usually what happens when a strong independent wins
He's about to
or
quit.
runs, is that you get that split of whatever the party is. But honestly, though, if the Democratic Party keeps putting out these extremists, then I think you'd find a larger majority of people are going to choose to vote moderate, independent.
So, I'll say this to you. when he gets... Did you pause it? I'll say this to Crash when he gets back, but,
Yeah, and I have to bleep out his name again.
yeah. Honestly, I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm sorry. I know you guys hate him, but honestly, I still
You
think...
can't even say you're going to vote for him. You don't even know if he's going to run again. I have a feeling
That's
he's not going to
true.
run again.
I have a feeling he's going to run again, because I feel like he has a good chance of winning.
He is the only president who's ever not gotten over a 50% approval rating for re-election at this point.
Okay, so last time he also had a low approval rating, yet he still won.
Yeah, but now he's actually been in office. We're talking about the way people view him in office right now. He has less than a 50% approval rating, which no president has ever had at this point. I'm not talking about their approval of wanting to vote for him again. I'm talking their approval of voting for him right now.
If he does run, I will vote for him, just because I feel like he can do a lot better than a lot of the
I'm glad
current
it's recorded
candidates.
because when Trump does something really stupid or ends up getting impeached, I'm going to remind Kyle that he
Because
fully supported
And I will tell you this, and I said it very strongly.
you guys, I know you guys have taken the stance of anti-Trump. You guys dislike Trump. I like to play.
Jason has... I don't know why you think Jason and I are like of the same opinion.
I don't know.
You
he didn't
cannot
say
group
anything.
us together.
So,
We're very different on
I like to
stances.
play my favorite game, which is called Good Trump, Bad Trump. Sometimes he does good things. Sometimes he does do bad things.
Well,
But
I've said this
personally,
before.
I feel that the good he's done outweighs the bad things
What is
he's
the
done.
good that he's done? When have you seen him do? Personally.
Gosh, I gotta get my facts out.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can't really think of it off the top of your head.
Because
No, he
can.
definitely has. And honestly, I can barely even think. Well, okay, the big underlying thing, which I think is,
Pulling troops out.
that's not a good idea.
I didn't think that was a good idea.
That's not a good idea.
They left it wide open for Russia.
Yeah. Anyway, no. One of the good things, if not one of the most important things that he's done, is expose the problems with the media. With everything that happened with the Covington students, that proved even further what the hell their agenda was. And they even had, who was it, one of the women on The View who said, like, why do we, Whoopi Goldberg was asking this woman, why do we, like, jump so quickly in regards to these situations? And this woman responded, oh, because we want Trump out of office. And
That's completely
that's
true.
exactly right. The media hates him, except Fox News, I guess.
One of, because it's the most recent one I can remember, the good Trump, we were talking about it earlier, his stance, what he said about socialism. I agree with that. I don't think America should be socialist. I don't think it ever needs to be socialist.
Of course.
Didn't defund...
I agree.
I don't
And
think
I think
anybody-
it was good on his part to get on stage and say, because we have all these people trying to advocate for socialism, I think that was good on his part to get on the stage and say, we will
The
never
United
be...
States will never be socialist, okay? These extremists are such a small minority that they're not even worth my breath, okay? I am sorry that you see so much push from these extremists talking about socialism, but it's never going to happen in the
Well,
United
it's all I
States.
see on the media. When I turn on
Because it's
Jimmy
all
Kimmel,
people want
when I
you to
turn on
see.
CNN.
No,
I wouldn't be so quick
the
to say
media
that.
is not
Because the
pushing
left
for
does-
socialism. They're pushing for socialist ideas, starting to build up some of these programs, but nobody, except maybe Bernie Sanders, is advocating for full-blown socialism.
Yeah.
That will never happen in the United States, okay?
is too high?
If we're talking
No.
about socialist programs, Medicaid is a socialist program,
Yeah.
okay? Our son is on it, and we didn't even have that choice. We were essentially forced into it.
I'm okay with Medicaid.
Okay,
I don't
those
have
are
a problem with
socialist
it.
programs. Those are the things that the
They
left
don't
is
work
talking
that
about.
well,
I'm
though.
not saying that they do work. I think that's what the left is talking about. So if that is
Right, but they're
socialism,
also-
then we're
but-
already done.
But universal health care, which is the biggest thing that
And I
they
don't-
always advocate for, that's not just an extreme leftist idea.
I know. Again, we're talking about extremists, and the extremists are not worth my breath
No, I
because
completely
they're
agree.
not at large. They're not the
They
majority.
can do damage.
You're right. They can do damage because they can pull their party so far in the opposite direction, right? And
Or
create
they
even
can,
more polarization.
or they help in creating the PC culture, which rams down comedians, rams down speakers like Jordan Peterson, these intellectual thought speakers, Ben Shapiro, Milo Yiannopoulos. Whether you agree with these people or not, this PC culture does have an effect on these people. And
I know it does.
Yeah, so it's not as light of a matter as you might think it is. Is all I'm saying.
I wasn't trying to say that it was a light matter. I guess I'm just saying, like, when Kyle's, like, talking about how Trump needed to get out and say that socialism is never going to happen, like...
I think that's a good thing.
I think it's obvious that socialism is never going to happen.
To a degree, yeah.
And I was just stating that I don't
it's just
think
nice
that
to hear him
there's
say it.
many people out there.
I think
it's just nice to hear the words.
I know. I'm just saying I do not think that there are actually that many people out there who advocate for a full-blown socialist system. Completely.
Of course!
Of course! Google it!
It's this lovely invention called Google.
He's such a tool.
I'm tired, guys.
Getting tired. All right, let's talk about one more topic, and then we will conclude this wonderful podcast. Hopefully, we didn't bore the shit out of you guys.
I think it was a pretty good round.
I think yeah.
We do well with not having an agenda to talk about.
Yeah, just kind of riffing, you know. I mean,
Little do you guys know, we actually recorded this once before.
Yeah, I tried to be super formal with it, and it just turns out, doing a podcast, it doesn't necessarily have to be formal. Sometimes it's just shooting the shit and sharing our ideas.
This podcast would never be a socialist podcast.
I would like to, as we go on, kind of make this a little more comedic too. I mean, talking about these. I mean, it's fun to also talk about this stuff, but I'd also like to, I don't know, pull up some funny videos that we stumble across, and I don't know. That's just me.
Oscars, or no, it wasn't Oscars. Was it the Grammys that just happened?
Oh, I don't know a damn thing that happened during the Grammys.
I can tell you this. For some reason, they thought it necessary to bring Michelle Obama on.
Oh, that's right.
I went, what the hell has Michelle Obama done for music? And why does she matter to the Grammys?
What was it? What is what do they call it? The musical Grammy? I don't fucking know. I don't pay attention to that shit. I just watch Netflix.
My mom was watching it. I went up and I saw her watching, and they had Michelle Obama on there, and they were praising her, and I was like, why? For starters, she's no longer the first lady, so what importance does she have? Two, why isn't Ivanka Trump up there? She has done just as much as Michelle Obama.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that Michelle Obama's done.
She put forth that food bill for the schools.
That's right.
Which was a terrible idea.
Why do you think that?
Well, because when they made this bill, they made it in the general aspect that they were thinking of all these schools that operate like, your normal everyday school. You go there for 6 hours and you come home. What they didn't take into account is that there are public schools that the students live at or stay at, where the schools provide them their food, and the portions that they mandate you take.
Portions?
Yes, the portions of food they give you at the meal times is so small that it is hard for kids that live in these schools
so they're
stay in these
like
schools.
They're getting little teaser meals.
So when I won't say where it was, but I did go to a school in which I stayed at, and food was provided for me, and exercise was a huge part of being there. And the biggest problem we had is that the portions of food they were giving us were so small that it wasn't equal to the amount of exercise and the amount of calories we were burning per day. So we literally had kids who were like bone thin, and people who were constantly hungry and were stealing food because they were so hungry.
Oh, that's right.
It was a terrible problem there.
Like you were saying, like kids were eating like packets of ketchup, right?
Yes. It was pretty, people would literally eat anything they could get their hands on because everybody was always hungry. Everybody always felt like they were starved.
Yeah, especially at the rate you guys were working out.
Yes, it was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, that's crazy. So,
anyways, I don't think she should have been there. I think it's irrelevant, and I think the Grammys have just become this new progressive platform.
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. No, honestly, I've never been interested in the Grammys, the Oscars. That's
progressive means. Like, progressivism, do you actually know what it means?
Like, do you want me to give you a textbook definition?
I want you to tell me what it means.
Progress? Like, moving in a certain direction towards a certain goal?
advancing beyond
Yeah.
the traditional
Making
means.
changes.
Which is
But when it comes to
which is
media,
appropriate in some senses.
but when it comes
Of
to
course.
media,
Yeah,
usually when they
changes
use
in
when they use progressive in the media, they mean moving like the LGBTQ,
like the
or,
Green
like,
New Deal
all
would be
the-
considered
the Green New
progressive.
I know what progressive is. I was just making sure that you guys knew it.
Well, of course, we know.
I
what it
just
means.
don't like
Of course,
Of course.
I just it I don't know. It's like you with liberalism the other day, like throwing it out there, like not you, babe, but kind
I was about to say, bitch.
of. People
I
are
watched
just
a
giving these
I watched
terms
a
like
great Joe Rogan yesterday.
labels as if they're supposed to mean what they don't mean, and that's what frustrates me. I think.
Yeah, I was watching Joe Rogan yesterday, and it was they had Bert Kreischer on there. It was like one of the first ones Bert Kreischer ever did with him. It was amazing.
Wait, what?
It was a Joe Rogan podcast, like,
With Bert Kreischer?
yeah, it was the first time Bert Kreischer was ever on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, okay.
And it was back when he was still doing a show, Hurt Bert. I thought that was absolutely
Bert Christmas.
amazing. He was like talking about all the things that they made him do on the show. They made him do some pretty like insane shit. Like he was talking about, I can't remember what they called it, but outside of no,
TV show.
yeah, was that the name? I thought it was Hurt Bert.
It might have been. I can't remember.
But he was talking about outside of Nevada, they were doing this thing. I can't remember what they called it, but he described it pretty much as like extreme ziplining. And he was talking about how they like had him go and do it, and he said he was getting to the end of it, but he was like going so fast he didn't know what to do, and like for some reason somewhere he heard somewhere that like put your legs out and it'll save you, and he thought that it would work. And apparently he put his legs out and then like came into the rigging like to stop, and then he racked his nuts on the rigging, and I was like,
gosh.
that poor guy.
I love Bert.
He was also talking about he went to the Middle East and did some shows in the Middle East, and he said in the Middle East, in Muslim-owned hotels, they don't serve alcohol, and you're not allowed to walk around in like a bikini.
That's not surprising.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Muslim culture, but yeah, that sounds about right.
But I mean, like, that sounds like a pretty boring hotel. Like, what are you gonna do? Sleep?
Babe, what are you doing?
I think she's doing her homework.
I'm running out of things.
You
to look
lost
up.
all your energy behind an education topic.
We actually
Well,
didn't
we're
get
long
as far
past
into
the
that.
education.
Well, I know. I just meant like that was pretty much. I'm
I
not
was
judging.
children, and I had a bunch of other stuff up
judging.
here, but we really haven't been talking about.
That's
it.
fair. All right. Well, I guess
It's
that.
tiring. I think I'm done.
That's
I
fair.
think we hit a good point here.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully you guys agree. We will conclude this podcast. We will we'll try to keep this on a regular thing. I don't know if there's nothing set as far as scheduling. I'd like to do at least one every week. Kind of give you guys our taste on issues as they come on, and also just I don't know, have fun, talk, BS, make jokes. Let's see, anything else we want to close on?
Just feedback is always nice.
Feedback, yeah. If
Or
there's
if
any
you have
ways,
things you want us to talk about, we'd love to.
yeah. If you're curious about our
add
opinions,
If you don't
on
want me
things,
coming
to
back, let
our
me know.
discussion
yeah,
list.
tell us whether or not you liked Kyle.
We're thinking about putting a whiteboard up here, and we can put like some kind of maybe topics or like little topic maps or I don't know. We'll see. We'll take all and any suggestions and feedback.
We appreciate it all. And we appreciate you taking the time listening to us. Till next time, thank you for listening to the Kitchen Podcast.
See you later, f***its.
Deuce.